Well, this is Rooted in Idaho. Is this episode 5?
I think we're there. Yeah.
Episode 5, maybe episode 6.
Yeah.
And our special guests today, plural, we've got Jake and June Black. Jake is the founder of Lost Grove Brewing, an iconic brewery here in Boise, Idaho. Jake's also a born and raised Boisean. He grew up in Boise's North End, went to North Junior High School and Boise High School, and has been working in the restaurant, food, and beverage industry since 2000. He founded Lost Grove Brewing in 2017, and we're super excited to talk to him about Boise and business and the brewery landscape, the craft brewery landscape of Boise, and kind of just get his insights and stories and view on all things Boise and all things business and community. And just appreciate you joining us.
Yeah.
Thanks for the intro, Casey. Appreciate it.
Yeah. How did I do on the bio there?
Pretty good, dude.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I think you nailed it for sure.
Real people, real stories, real Idaho, right, Casey?
Real people, real stories, real Idaho. This is Rooted in Idaho. Clip it.
I like it.
Cool. Spence, you want to kick us off?
Yeah. So why don't you get into a little bit about like Lost Grove and how that came about?
I've got into the beer business actually in 2010 and helped start Payette Brewing Company. And so with Mike Francis, still a buddy of mine, he got the bug while living over in Seattle and became an engineer.
June wants airtime.
June wants airtime.
June wants airtime.
I know. She's like, Dad, what are we talking about here?
I don't need to see your face. Everybody can watch me.
Yeah. And so I got started in the beer business back in like 2010, 2011, and that's when the craft beer business was just booming.
Yeah.
So I helped create the distribution sales model for Payette, and worked with Mike for about 5 years and helped grow Payette from 0 to 10,000 barrels. It was a bit of a rocket ship. It was super fun, but it kind of came to a head where it's like, do I want to have a small piece of a big pie, or do I want a big piece of a small pie? And so I kind of realized that the timing was right for me to move on and start my own brewery. And so, I in 2016 signed the lease down at La Pointe, where our brewery still is. Which was wild thinking about that this month, that it's been a decade that I've been working on this project and this
crazy.
company. Yeah, it's kind of nuts. And so it took me about 18 months to finalize capital, finish out the build out, and get our doors open.
Yeah.
And so, we were able to open in October of 2017, and the rest is history.
Ish.
Yeah, still wait to be written. The soon-to-be heir CEO is staring me down though right now, trying to get some airtime already. It's like, baby June, wait your turn. But yeah, it's been a fun, wild ride. I mean, known Casey and Dan with the still from day one. I think they were, pretty much right out of the gate when we started self-distribution of our beer. We're one of the first businesses to pick us up.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, we met you, probably that same summer or fall, and we did some events with you guys, and started carrying your beer at our first location, and just kind of hit it off. It was one of those, Boise moments where you kind of meet someone who's doing something in a similar vertical as you, and you hit it off with them, and you're like, hey, let's find ways to support each other, and have kind of just been like friends ever since. So what? Going back a little bit, because I mean, even before, I alluded to this in your intro, in your bio, but you've been in the industry since 2000. And what was, how did you get your start, I guess, in the food and beverage industry? And then at what point did you decide, like, this is where I'm going to be, I'm going to stay in this? Or did you, at some point, did you think you were going to do something completely different? What is that story like?
I got my start.
Bitter Creek, right?
Bitter Creek Ale House was the first food and beverage place that I started working at. But really, I kind of got the itch for just, I think, business or anything like that in general was with my mother. My mother owned a small business products and gift store. And so I started working for her when I was 11, and it was a great marketing ploy on her part. I was her downtown delivery guy during the summers.
Nice.
At 11 years old. And I would roll into places with their business products and drop it off. And I was probably 4'7", 4'9", just like this tiny, like Baby June, big cheeked, cute little kid dropping off these business products and then giving them little bits of honey.
Nobody could say no to you.
Yeah, dude. Like all the secretaries were just like, "Oh, this cute kid," So thinking back, I was like, "That was genius there, Mom."
Yeah. And like no child labor laws when it's your own kid,
Well,
right?
yeah, it's your own kid, dude. Like you better believe when June's like 6, dude, she's washing dishes. And so, so I kind of started getting the itch there. And then I opened up a lacrosse store in the basement or in the same footprint of my mother's business product store. And I was the first lacrosse store in Boise.
You opened up a lacrosse store.
Yeah, it was called.
At what age?
B-Lax Lacrosse. It was 14.
B-Lax Lacrosse.
B-Lax Lacrosse Company. Me and the Campbell brothers. So they were super inspirational for like bringing lacrosse to Boise.
Oh, really?
When we first started playing lacrosse in 7th grade, there were 2 lacrosse teams. And we just played each other for a season, like back and forth. That was what it was.
Yeah.
And then by 8th grade, we had 4 lacrosse teams in the
Wow.
whole valley. By 9th grade, every high school had a lacrosse team in the valley, and there were 4 junior high lacrosse teams that were combined. And then by the time I was in high school, so within the span of like 4 years, it grew to, a full-blown sport. And if you're, lacrosse now is pretty large, right, throughout the valley. So myself and the Campbell brothers opened up, a lacrosse store at my mom's.
Just
in the back of my-
selling gear?
Yeah, helmets, sticks, balls, like all the good jazz. We really should have kept it rolling. It was one of those where one of the Campbell brothers graduated, the other one went to a lacrosse school.
Yeah.
And my coach wouldn't let me miss practice to work the store. And so instead of when we were kind of disbanding those guys, instead of starting up another store, we just kind of let it roll.
Yeah.
Which is funny, but
that's cool. So like literally entrepreneurship's been
kind of like in the blood.
You're just like in your blood and
Yeah.
like something that you've been doing your whole life essentially. So you never really did you ever give thought to doing something besides like starting your own business, or did you kind of always know like
No, and then I started working in a bar
this.
and when I was 15, and it was like one of those where it was fun, and I was like, oh, this is great. I'm like, oh, I'm opening one of these for sure. And then that was, the path was set from 15 on. It was like, I'm going to open a bar. And so I graduated high school, enrolled in culinary school, got my degree in hospitality restaurant management at a culinary school in Portland.
Cool.
And then came back and was working at the Bitter Creek and managing those spots. And then I had a buddy, that was a tangent, but that moved to Nicaragua to open up a hostel. And he hit me up and asked if I'd come down and help him open a bar in his hostel in Nicaragua. That was a no-brainer.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I moved to Nicaragua for about a year where I was running a bar and helping run a sailboat charter company. And then I left that to come back and help open Payette.
Wow.
Dang.
So for like beer, I mean, did you, do the brewing in like your garage first to try that as like a hobby, or did you just go right to Payette?
So I've always just been on the sales and distribution side.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't think anybody wants me brewing beer.
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna be good for us or the business, So yeah, mine's just always been more on the sales and growth strategy business piece of it. And I've just been fortunate to be able to have good brewers throughout the time frame, and we've rotated through a few brewers. We've had a few that have moved away. Had one or two that haven't quite been the right fit, but we're pretty excited with my current brew team right now. I'm pretty excited about. They've been doing a good job, and so
That's awesome.
Was Payette kind of one of the first like craft breweries in Boise and where do they kind of fit in the like arc of craft breweries? Like when did craft breweries really take off, and like where does Payette fit in that story? Because I would imagine they're still, obviously a lot's changed with Payette over the years, but they were or still are one of the largest or like maybe well-known ones in Boise or coming out of Boise. Like,
yeah, I mean, it was definitely, a rocket ship at the time. So, and that was, I think they were one of the first to really like push that sales distribution model in Boise.
Okay. A lot of other ones like Highlands Hollow or whatever. Like,
so you had Sockeye, Highlands Hollow, the Ram.
Yep.
And I'm probably forgetting one, which would be really mad. No, Payette was the fourth. So it was really Sockeye, Highlands Hollow, the Ram.
But the first to kind of like really try to like be larger and distribute and.
Yeah, there was one more prior that was in like the early 90s, Table Rock Brewing Company for anybody that kind of grew up in the area as well. They're currently where White Dog downtown. Okay. So that was Table Rock. Okay. And so they actually tried to expand. And unfortunately, they were in that first like in the 80s.
They're like almost too early.
There was like an 80s boom of craft beer, right?
But started by like Fat Tire, right? Kind of.
Yeah. Like Deschutes, New Belgium, Sierra Nevada, Widmer Brothers. Like those are all like Red Hook. Elysian. Ooh. Those are all like your 80 like success stories. But then there was a lot of breweries in the 80s that at that time there definitely wasn't the technology, so it was also harder to understand the science and really like make good beer. So there's like this boom of not great beer. And one of the issues with Table Rocks is they spent a ton of money on a canning line, started bottling their beer, and had a yeast issue, and they started having exploding bottles.
Oh, goodness.
And that was a bit detrimental to their business. Baby June, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? She's like, Dad, why are we here? What are we doing about Table Rock? Oh, yeah. You got to be careful. That's expensive microphone, I'm guessing. Yeah.
June doesn't care about expensive microphones.
She's like, I don't care.
You want to see if one of these ladies want to talk to you for saying, yeah, see if Casey wants to.
Can I hold you, June?
Uh-oh. Here's the test.
I got the baby touch.
Here's the test.
I got the baby touch.
So
she's like, I don't like this at all. Dad's right there.
You're okay.
Oh, Daddy's right there.
Yeah, should we see if you got something else over there too?
Daddy's right there. She's like, no, I don't like this at all.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
This could be the open. This is our new podcast open. It's me trying to entertain this baby.
I know.
Oh, June, it's okay. It's okay, sweet girl. It's okay, sweet girl. Oh my gosh, look at the toy.
Yeah, the crinkly.
June, you have a voice for radio, June. Come here, girl. The crinklies. I think luckily these mics are pretty good and
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what?
We can do. Hey, you know what it is? You know?
Everything in post.
It's all editing.
See how it goes, yeah.
Yeah, it's all editing.
Yeah.
Oh, you lost your branded beanie though.
Oh yeah, here it is.
Yeah, you gotta get that branding on there. You can get those plugs in.
She's like,
baby
no,
girl.
thanks. Baby girl.
No, boys.
This might have been a bad one.
So yeah, what are kind of, when it comes to the brewery scene in the state of Idaho and in Boise, like what are some of the challenges with starting a brewery, expanding a brewery? Like what are some things that people maybe don't know about owning a brewery in this state or in this valley?
I mean, as far as the startup, I think the biggest thing that caught me off guard, and that is something that's to some degree is actually now going to protect my business, but it's also going to be very hard for anybody to get into, is the sewer impact fees for breweries.
Oh.
I mean, so sewer impact fees now, they are charging, we got one more year and it'll go up. So it's increased by 33% the last 2 years, and it'll increase another 33% to where they'll be charging $500 per barrel produced on a monthly basis. And then as we increase our barrelage, we then also have to pay $500. It's a one-time fee, so you like are buying your capacity. But if I were to open a brewery that had 1,000 barrel capacity, my sewer impact fee would be $500,000.
Wow. And that's one time $500,000.
Yes.
What's the
now? Granted,
so what did it used to be? Like just for comparison's sake, like when you started back in 2017, what would the sewer impact fee have been for the same size?
So for the same, what's funny is it's a really difficult question to answer because back then they couldn't tell me why they were charging me the amount that they were charging me.
Can they tell you now why they're charging you that amount? Like, do they have like
They
good
say
reasoning?
now, yes, it's for like the BODs, or basically like the solid particulates that beer, pushes into our downstream sewer, right? So it's like it's funny because there are actually, if you use the right bugs in your wastewater treatment facility plant, beer production can actually be beneficial to those.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna.
But if it's a different type, which is what we have, it's actually detrimental to those. So it costs them more to treat the water when we discharge our product. Now you can do side streaming, and so there are some breweries that have put in like side stream stuff where they'll actually have like big holding tanks, kind of like grease traps, right? But just for the beer. And so like Payette had to do that. New Sockeye did that. Mother Earth has done that. So it's really for like larger breweries.
Is that part of why Payette moved their production to Colorado?
I mean, definitely one reason for sure.
Yeah.
I think there's some other reasons in the sense of, my timing was also just kind of terrible as well for opening up Lost Grove. I know that sounds funny, but like Payette's, 2015, 2016 was kind of the peak
For craft
breweries.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
When like, and then at that point is when it kind of plateaued and then really started to tail back off. And so at that peak, the other, piece with the Payette problem, but we don't need to talk about it, was just they had expanded quite a bit. And that is when other places really started focusing on the local markets. So, you're distributing to these outer markets. And if they start to focus on those local markets, then you lose that distribution.
Right.
So, but impact fees is a major, threat to breweries, and it makes it very difficult for expansion and just opening. And then the two breweries, you're only allowed to have 2 locations.
Wow.
And so that's also the funny part. And we are actually going to be working to try and change that law, especially with these impact fees.
Right.
If I have to pay $500 a barrel, I want to sell that beer for the most money I can get, right?
For sure.
If that makes sense. So it's like I'd rather sell it direct to consumer than stick a middleman in it and sell it through my distributor to a bar, stick 2 middlemen in it, really, right? Because I sell it to a distributor, and then the distributor sells it to a bar, and the bar sells it to consumer. And so, if they're going to enforce the impact fee aspects of it, it's like, you got to give us another opportunity then to like sell more direct to consumer.
Make that money back in some way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And so breweries have not, again, with it being so young, like you mentioned, really, we had 4 microbreweries in 2011. 2012, I think we had 5 because of Crooked Fence opened up. And then there was one called Slanted Rock that was pretty quickly after that. And then, Powder House is right in there.
No free ads, but
sorry.
No
Good point. Yeah, they're not on free ads. They're not on the show. They're not on the show. So,
get them out of here.
And so, I mean, I think literally all those ones I just listed are out of business.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Powder House didn't move. They're gone, right?
They are. I believe they're actually still operating at
for
their
sale a
space.
while
They
ago.
are for sale. Yeah,
They're still for sale.
they're still for sale.
Okay.
I don't know if they're producing beer, if they've just changed
Yeah.
that building into a bar, right?
Yeah.
They're
So
brewing into a bar.
Is this, as the impact fees and the 2, I want to get back to the 2 brewery rule, because I know that in our time working together, you now do have 2 locations, and you have the Hyde Park restaurant, Lost Grove Brewing, which is a full-on restaurant experience now and a great spot in Hyde Park. But even in order to do that, you had to kind of divest of your original second location to kind of take advantage of a better location opportunity.
Totally, which is just weird, right?
Yeah. Because these guys had originally opened a second tasting room, I guess, area over in Harris Ranch next to one of our locations. And then, the opportunity to open where Sunray Cafe used to be in Hyde Park came up, and it was like, well, yeah, this is a no-brainer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Full circle for you too, right? Growing up in the North End.
Dude, it's weird, full
Like,
circle. Yeah,
yeah.
like that was my first, that was the first place that I got a job after I came back from college, was actually at Lucky 13 at that location in Hyde Park before they moved to Harris Ranch.
Oh.
And then I literally had a picture from like one of their last nights being open that had been hanging in my bathroom since then.
Oh, wow.
Lucky 13 in Hyde Park, that location.
In your bathroom.
In my bathroom.
So you're not an interior
for
designer, right?
Like a decade. Definitely not. And it only came down once my now wife moved in and was like, what is this? We got to get rid of this picture. This, 9x12 Kmart framed terrible photo of
Did you
Lucky
get to put
13
it?
pizza.
Did you get to put it in the garage at least? Something?
You know what? We actually took it to because it was they kind of happened. They coincided or fairly close to it. We actually took it to Hyde Park, and we're gonna hang them up because they actually.
Yeah.
So we had a Sunray one that we found in there.
That's
and then we
cool.
had that Lucky 13 one, and then we just need to get somebody to take one of Lost Grove.
Yeah.
and kind of have like the
That's-
3 years. Like
That'd
shoot,
be
it would be
cool.
like 40 years of history. I mean, I think Lucky 13 opened up in that place in the 90s or 80s.
Yeah.
I want to
that's-
say I can't remember
wild.
exactly.
Wait, at least you
Yeah,
get to
cool.
repurpose it. I have this picture. It's this Chinese picture, and it's like Shangri-La, right? It has all these things, and I don't know why I like it, but each of my girlfriends have just told me I can't keep it up, so I just like keep it in the closet, and maybe I get to put it in the garage one day. So at least power to you to recirculate
Every time you
it.
break up with your girlfriend, that's like your first thing. You're just like, picture back on the wall. And then the next girl comes in, you're like, shit, really? Maybe that's a sign.
This
dude.
down.
Maybe you got to. Maybe
That's the
you'll
test, right?
You'll know
that's the test.
you've met the one
Yeah.
when she's like, I love this
I
picture.
love this.
The next day, go buy a ring, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah. The
exactly.
next day, go get one for sure.
Oh my goodness,
awesome.
Oh, that's awesome.
No, so what I was getting at is, yes, finally the breweries have come together, and we've gotten our guild, and we've gotten organized enough that we are trying to change. We're trying to change some of the laws, and so that's definitely one that we're hoping to get on the docket. Not this year, but next year for sure.
Because like Oregon, there's how many McMinimans, which is
Totally.
but you can't do that. You can't do that in Idaho.
And then, but also, how many Bardenays are there in the state of Idaho?
Yeah, well, I guess 3 that I know of, but
There's 4.
4. Okay.
And
there's
so-
one up in North Idaho.
North
right?
Idaho.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of just like, what?
Was there a
so you can open
distiller,
up
they're not a-
distiller? He's like,
Yeah.
come on.
Well,
So-
what's the argument for the two? Like, what to take the other side? I guess real fast. Like, why does that law exist?
I think there's like 2 arguments. One, it's like the 3-tier system.
Mm-hmm.
So they want to push, the brewery selling to the distributor, selling to the restaurant. I think is one argument. And then the other one, I think, is just like an old temperance law.
Mm-hmm.
So like in our constitution in the state of Idaho, temperance
Temperance is written into the state constitution.
Yes.
Yep.
And so the promotion of alcohol sales, which us opening another tap room, right, or restaurant, in theory, then is the promotion of alcohol sales. So it's pretty archaic, though, right? Like, because realistically, it's not like we're promoting alcohol sales. I mean, we are, but like,
Sure.
we're also providing another 30 jobs.
Well, so is anybody who's, whether it's you guys or anybody else, they're still promoting it. And I always find this is always an interesting collision to me in the state of Idaho, right? Is like Idaho obviously is a conservative state or a red state. And there are elements of the kind of anti-regulation, pro-business conservative movement, but there's also a lot of religious conservatism as well, especially in like the eastern part of the state and the more rural parts of the state. And it's always interesting to me when those two kind of come into conflict with each other, right? When you have the pro-business elements, but you also have the religious conservatism elements, and they come into contact. It's like, which side is ultimately going to win out? And it usually is the religious
you guys are
conservatism
fighting that
lives
fight
out.
right now,
We're
right?
totally, yeah, absolutely.
Right in the center of it.
Yeah, we
probably can't talk about it, but
no, that's okay. We can talk about it a little bit, but obviously we're an ice cream shop that does serve alcohol and has alcohol infused ice cream products and things like that, and it's a very gray area. And to your point, I've learned a lot about the state constitution, and our alcohol laws in this state are very arcane, and there's not a lot of incentive for the state legislature to make changes, and there's also a lot of entrenched, disincentive, in fact, for a lot of parts of the state who don't want to see the laws change to,
lobby against it.
To change the alcohol laws and make them a little bit more clear or bring them up to the 21st century. I remember the first time that we kind of butted up against this, we were told by, I think it was the then captain of the Idaho State Police, which all the alcohol beverage control sits under the Idaho State Police level. And they were like, oh yeah, a lot of these laws date back to Prohibition. And you're like, oh, you mean the thing that happened 100 years ago that got repealed? Like all of our laws are still from like the thing that happened 100 years ago and doesn't exist anymore. But like we haven't updated a lot of stuff here.
And then the worst part is it's like interpretation.
It's
right. And so then you're like, wait, so you're also then going to interpret this on the side of something that happened 100 years ago?
Right.
Like, how about we interpret it like maybe a little more
modern.
Yeah. Like,
and then the attorneys get involved and more money gets put out for that.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. No.
Well, that's the tricky part. And that's, that's where we've, again, not to, make any enemies here in the podcast, but like that's where we've come into frustrations. And I'm sure you have too, is it's like the laws are vague, and depending on sort of how the state wants to interpret those laws in any given situation, there's a lot of room for them to do so.
Totally.
So it can make operating difficult, because depending on sort of who's in charge and how strictly or not strictly they want to enforce things can kind of change year to year or term to term. And it can make operating in a space that involves alcohol. I mean, liquor licenses, we can get into that too, because you and I have both been in the business of buying liquor licenses, which is a whole nother, rabbit hole we could go down. But it's made it difficult for operators to have certainty in how they can operate and what is and isn't going to be allowed. And you kind of are at the whim of those that get to interpret the laws that aren't super clear. And like they themselves will say, we agree that they would love to see changes too. A lot of the people a lot of the folks at the state police who are in charge of enforcing these, they would like to see changes too, but they're like, the laws are what we have, and our job is
to enforce
them, which you have to have respect for and understand. Yep. And it's more up to the kind of the legislature to clarify those. But when we have another complication, we are down a rabbit hole, but when we have a part-time legislature in the state of Idaho, because we're an agricultural state, right? So a lot of our legislative process is centered around accommodating the agricultural seasons. So we have a part-time legislature, which means they don't have a super long session. So making this a priority, the can always gets kicked down, right? It's on the agenda. It's something that everybody agrees needs to be addressed, but unfortunately there's just never enough time to where it takes priority to really, really figure out and dig into.
Well, and the idea that it's like fires up certain people within it. So you're like, do you really want to like stir the hornet's nest when you got a bunch of other stuff that you're trying to work on, right? So it's like, I think that's also part that makes it difficult. It's like, do we really want to open this can of worms? Like, no, maybe not.
Yeah. And they opened the can of worms a couple years ago and almost made it more complicated and confusing.
Totally.
I mean, they almost created more problems than they solved.
Supposedly they're getting like more push again. I mean, we're talking on the liquor license type stuff, right? Which again, we digress on what the overarching thing is, but they're talking about it comes up every year, but every year it does inch closer and closer. I mean, the idea that they changed the liquor laws 2 years ago is wild, right?
Yeah.
And now it's like on team have or on team have not, right?
Yeah.
Like, and now me and you are both on team have, so we're, it's like puts it into an interesting dynamic, because you're like, I really don't want these to change in the sense of like how much money I just spent
protecting
on
your
investments,
investment, right?
You'll lose
Yeah.
it, just like New York City taxis are like another example, right?
Yeah.
Like
Totally.
Uber comes and then they pay $1 million for a license, and then now all of a sudden it's down the toilet.
It is a bit of a
you
good old boys
host.
club, but when you find yourself inside the club, you're like, okay, how do we,
I
just shelled out a bunch of money for this thing. I want to make sure that like I'm not left holding the bag.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have like the broader perspective of, I would love to have this simplified and just made more
I mean, if the
fair
state wants to
and,
come and like buy them off us, that'd be kind of
Yeah,
good.
there you go.
Just throwing it out there. Like, yo, okay, we're gonna change this law, but we're gonna buy them out from everybody who's got it. We're just doing a little
What is this,
trade
Live
here.
Golf?
yeah, the Saudi government wants to come and offer me a bag of money for my liquor liquor
Use that potato money or something, whatever the state's got, right?
Absolutely.
Well, speaking of liquor and beer, how do you come up with different flavors? Like, when you open that up, like, how do you decide to do that? I know there's IPAs, dark beers. Like, how does that come up?
I think it's just the process of working with our, the brew team, also working with some of our, front of house managers and stuff too, and bartenders of what's the consumer asking for, right?
Yeah.
Like, and trying to stay up with the times, also reading like, what are the beer centric areas of the country? Like, what are those guys brewing, right?
Yeah.
Like the Portlands of the world and the San Diegos and, some of the East Coast guys, right? Like because
They're kind of on the cutting edge a little bit.
yeah, they're a little bit on the cutting edge. They got that like market penetration and, that population base that also like allows them to like be on the cutting edge, like test new stuff. And so you can see what, the consumer's excited about. So, it's just a little bit of kind of everything. I mean, and kind of with the names too, right? Like the names.
I was just going to ask about names.
Yeah.
Dude.
These guys have some all-time names for their beers. I don't know if you can tell any stories of how any of the names came about, but if you can,
I mean, one for your own, just Milk Lemonade. We all know the nursery rhyme. Well, actually, I don't think Casey and Dan knew the nursery, or I don't even think you can call it a nursery.
Tell the Milk Lemonade story.
But no, it's just like, when I was a kid growing up, you got the, milk lemonade around the corner fudge is made.
Oh my God.
That was just a thing when you were a kid, right? That was like, milk lemonade around the corner fudge is made. So we just thought it'd be funny to have a beer called milk lemonade. And I think the best story with the milk lemonade, it was pretty early on, and I got interviewed by the news about something. I don't know what it was, but they asked me what my favorite beer was. And so obviously I was like, well, milk lemonade. And then when they aired it, the newscasters were, for some reason, just went back and forth saying milk lemonade like 3 or 4 times. But like when watching the segment, it just made my brewer and I just die of laughing just because they were like, milk lemonade. Milk lemonade. Huh, weird name. Like, we were just laughing so hard.
You're like, clearly they don't know the ending to that.
They totally do not.
What about? But there's one that was the like hot tub
grilled cheese bikini.
Grilled cheese bikini. Can you tell that story real fast?
Also, both not great beer names. People take them too literally, I think, and they're like, "What lemonade and milk? Like that doesn't sound good." But grilled cheese bikini was a super weird one. I feel bad for my friend's parents. We were young, and my original brewer was also one of my best friends growing up, which was awesome. But then he fell in love and he moved away, so that's kind of lame. But whatever. We don't have to talk about it. It makes me sad every time. But we, we're high school kids doing high school things, and at one point, our friend and her parents were out to a movie. We decided it'd be funny to be hanging out at their house, and when they came home, one of our buddies had stripped down and just had duct taped a grilled cheese bikini for the bikini bottom, and then as like a top, but just literally grilled cheeses and duct tape. And then one of our other buddies was standing there with a camera. So when her dad opened the door, it was one buddy posing on the couch with a grilled cheese bikini on, the other guy taking photos, just so that his reaction would be like, what the hell is going on in my house?
Completely sober?
And then we got him in just blitz, and then everybody just ran out of the house, out the back door, and ran away. So it worked. It was definitely hilarious. And so somehow that became a beer name. Literally, our beer names kind of came about where, in all seriousness, if you think of how many breweries there were, especially at the time of when we opened, I think we were a brewery like, I don't even know, like 9,000 or something like that. I should know that number, but and then it really like kind of peaked out at like 11,000 breweries in the United States.
Wow.
So if every single brewery makes 10 different beers, which is like not that uncommon. We made last year 22 different beers, right?
Yeah.
And so if every brewery in the country just made 10, that's over 100,000 beer names. So to come up with like a unique beer name is pretty tricky. Like it's difficult, right? And so, so JT and I, Old Head Brewer and I, when we first started, especially, we've toned back a little bit, but most of our beer names were literally just like making fun of our friends.
Yeah.
I like it. I think we need like some names more rooted, like a little bit more rooted names.
Yeah, like I think my favorite would be was our Amber Ale.
Yeah. This one.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you could tell this story. But this is my favorite of your because it's not like grilled cheese bikini. It's just like
it's literally a story. Like
it's a
the
story.
beer name is a story.
But that's what
story.
makes it fun, you know?
Yeah. And so we brewed an amber ale, and we named it Margot. But our buddy at the time was going through a breakup that was getting a little wild, and his ex-girlfriend's name was Amber, and she had a cat named Margot. And during this process, he had some instances that got very weird, where she started coming over late at night and just kind of like showing up to his house unexpected, and like at one point she opened the bedroom door and was like, "You forgot to lock your door, Zach." Like some weird stuff, right? And then another time, so he like literally like had to call the cops, and like the cops come to take her away. And she's like, "I live here." And my buddy and his roommate are like, "No, you don't." The cops are like, "Okay, well, if they're saying you don't live here, and if you do live here, like, how about you get your things then? Let's get all your stuff, because apparently they don't want you here anymore." And so the only things that were left at the house was a bag of cat food and a cat bowl. So we have on video camera the cops like escorting this woman out with like a bag of cat food and a cat bowl, like as they walk out. But then the next night she comes over, and he had locked the doors, but she still had the combo to the garage door. And sure enough, dude, she got in there and golf clubs are missing.
Oh.
So for this beer, we brewed an amber ale that we named Margot, and it was part of our Lost series. And on the back of our little stickers, we had a bunch of golf clubs on it. So at every bar that my buddy went to that had this beer on, this is the Margot Amber Ale with all these golf clubs, and it was part of the Lost series. And we just take a picture and send it to him. We're like, "Yo, dude, we brewed a beer for you." It's like, "You guys are idiots."
That's my favorite. That's my favorite beer that you guys have ever made.
It's pretty good.
Oh, I just think that story's so funny.
And it's one of our best. I mean, it's a good
still
amber.
out there.
It's a good amber. It's still out there. Yeah, grilled cheese bikini not so much, but Margot is still around. Yeah, it's pretty good. So beer names, they come and go. We try and just have fun with them. Yeah. Cat sleeve, I think we had giraffe horse because one of our managers got a tattoo because she loved giraffes. But when you get a tattoo, you have your arm extended, right?
Yeah.
So she gets this tattoo of a giraffe. But when she puts her arm up, it shrinks the whole thing down, so it just looks like a horse.
Giraffe horse.
Giraffe horse.
Yeah. Super obvious.
What's your kind of a hot take? What is your take on nitro versus CO2? Because I've had some nitros lately, and I want someone to make a light nitro. Why is it they always make dark nitro?
That's funny. I would love to make some nitros too. So the difference though, and I like nitro beers as well, is that nitrogen is harder to. It takes more pressure for nitrogen to stay in solution than CO2.
Oh, gotcha.
So it doesn't grab onto the other bonds and particulates that are in beer as well as CO2 does.
Yeah.
So, which the only issue there is that you actually need to have a tank that can handle the pressure to actually make a nitrogen beer. Because all you're doing is you're just doing what's called forced carbonation. So you're just forcing the nitrogen to bond with the beer itself. Yeah. And so that's why people don't make it a lot. Most of our tanks are rated at like 20 PSI. To do nitrogen, you need it to be at like 35, 40 PSI.
Okay.
So it's a lot of the bigger companies do it. We can do it, but you can do it individually. Kegs themselves, like the actual keg, is actually a pretty sturdy vessel, and so it can handle more pressure. So you can nitrogen up in keg. So I have a bar manager who's been pushing me super hard about wanting to have some nitro beers.
It's also like if you are trying to distribute them to restaurants, the restaurants have to have the setup in their keg system to do nitros. When most of us don't, right? Like realistically. So like it probably also just from like an economical standpoint, like you can do them in your tap rooms or your restaurants, but if you're going to make a bunch of it and try to distribute it, there's going to be a lot of restaurants that don't necessarily have the setup, smaller restaurants at least, that don't have the setup to have nitro beers.
No, that's totally true. But I mean, to the same argument though, there is a bit of a market because of that on both ends, right? So because there's not a big market for it, there's actually, I should say, a niche market that if you do create like I always used to love the Hales Cream Ale. From I believe it's from Anchor Brewery. No
free ads, but Anchor Brewery.
Very. It's fine. But yeah, there's a bunch of places, and I would always, when I was a beer buyer way back in the day for Bitter Creek, I was in your same shoes where I was like, I want a light nitro beer. They're all dark nitro beers.
I mean, I'm not going to name names, and I just don't want to cheat on you anymore. Just get me a light beer.
Yeah, light nitro
I'll come
beer.
drink it. I'll bring people.
What, Mother Earth's Kelly Creamin on nitro?
No comment.
No free ads. No free ads.
No free ads. Those guys are great.
Yeah. So what about, you are born and raised in Boise, went to Portland for, the culinary school and hospitality, and then stint in Nicaragua. Did you always envision that you'd end up in Boise? Did you consider going somewhere else? And like, now that you are here, what is it about Boise that made you want to start a business and kind of stay rooted here?
Yeah. No, I don't know if I necessarily...
No free ads. Wait, it's our show.
Yeah, being rooted in Boise is something that it wasn't necessarily top of mind. It wasn't out of the question by any means when I was younger, but, moved to Portland and loved the Portland adventure, loved being out there, and it was great. But the timing always brought me back to Boise, I guess, is more than anything else. Whereas like living in Portland was rocking a job on the coast. Didn't love that job. Decided I was going to go backpack Europe for a few months. Well, the easiest thing was to like move all my crap back to Boise, right? Rather than just like, because I knew I wasn't going to be in that town because I was living on the coast. I knew I didn't want to be there anymore. So the timing, it was like, well, if I'm going to go to Europe in 2 months, I'm not trying to look for a space or, so it's easy to like move all my crap back to Boise. And then again, in Boise for a bit, and, go to Nicaragua. At that point, I was actually anticipating doing some more traveling. Like when I left to go to Nicaragua the first time, it was for about 3 months. And then I met the guys with the sailboat. They offered me a job doing the sailboat stuff. When I had the bar up and running. So I actually came back to Boise, sold all my shit, moved back to Nicaragua, and actually had intentions in staying there for like 2 to 3 years. But then we got demasted and a bunch of other random stuff that was like, sent me back to like hitting up Mike Francis, because Mike and I had actually been talking prior to me moving to Nicaragua about Payette Brewing Company. And so again, circumstances just kind of like led me back to Boise. And then while at Payette, helped launch Payette into 7 different states, actually did a stint over in Portland again for like 8 months. And that was when I kind of realized like, God, Boise's great. Yeah. I actually love Boise. Like,
it's good energy.
Yeah, it's good energy. I'd been on the road for a good solid year or so, give or take, like helping push, launch that brand and that company. And I just missed Boise. And that was kind of when I realized it. I was like, yeah, I just want to be in Boise. And so that was also part of the transition too. And so at that point, I realized that Boise was my home and the hidden gem and the place that I'd been kind of looking for. And so I came back and, I think I'd probably be here for a long time. I don't necessarily see myself going anywhere other than maybe trying to take a sabbatical here and there, but outside of that, Boise's definitely, I think the place.
If you need some extra help, I'll work for beer.
Sweet. Yeah. I like it. We got to set up a deal, right? Where when you sell a house, you like give them a little kit,
Hey.
It's probably like free ice cream. Maybe
I'm already doing that.
Yeah,
I know.
dude. Maybe we got to work out like a gift card.
Okay,
I don't know what your guys you got going deal.
Charlie, get in touch with Jake and
yes, and she's real.
Going on,
she's actually a real person.
Spencer has a Charlie and Charlie can chat.
Yeah.
Spencer has a partner named Charlie,
business partner
named Charlie, but Charlie does a lot of Charlie's in Spencer's email. So like if I email Spencer or if I get an email from Spencer, a lot of times it's Charlie.
Oh,
but
nice.
I'd never met Charlie, so I was giving Spencer shit for a long time of like, is Charlie actually a real person or is this like you trying to look like bigger than you actually are? And you're like, oh, Charlie will get in touch with you. And I'm like, do you just like go home and like put on a wig and a dress? And you're like, no, I'm Charlie.
Dude, I need a Charlie for sure. There's probably like 25 people that I owe emails back to.
I know.
I wish Charlie was sitting there emailing them for me, dude.
Every time I'm sitting here, my phone's just like, yeah. But yeah, it's funny.
That's pretty good.
I had a question, but I forgot it. Do you have a question, Spencer?
I do have a question.
Yeah, you get it.
So, I mean, you can tell I like food, right? I love beer. But when I go to breweries, right, you go for the beer, and that's hard enough to brew beer and do that. But then to add the food element, because I know in the North End one, you have a full restaurant, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, how did that come about? Like, hey, I'm going to brew beer, but then also instead of maybe getting like a food truck, doing that, which I think is a great idea, is like a full-blown restaurant. What was the kind of idea behind it?
It's been a slow pivot across the board. When we first opened, right, as you're saying, at our original location, it was just beer, wine, some cider. But as looking at the market and kind of just reading the landscape of breweries as a whole, the thing I started asking myself or looking at was like, I need there to not be no's from people, as in like, how do I eliminate the no? So like Casey asked Spencer to like, yo, let's go. You're like, I want to grab a beer. And Casey hits up Spencer and is like, I want to grab a beer. And Spencer's like, sweet, yeah, where do you want to go? And you're like, Lost Grove. And you're like, oh, dude, I'm kind of hungry. And it's like, oh, yeah, I guess let's not go to Lost Grove. They don't have food right now, right?
Yeah.
Or we get to the point where you're like, I'm kind of, so we put a kitchen in. So right after COVID also pushed us to a kitchen. So we have a pizza kitchen down there.
At the original location.
At the original location. Yeah. And part of that was also from COVID, right? COVID hits. I thought I had all these avenues to sell product, right? We sell product to the bars. We sell product direct to consumer, right? We had another location. And all of a sudden COVID hit. It's like, oh, wait, I actually have no way to really generate revenue. Because that was out also before we were actually in a packaged product before COVID. COVID pushed us into cans.
To get into grocery.
To get into grocery. And then there was also talks during COVID at one point. Miss
June break.
And so it's been pivoting. It's all about pivoting, right? So we got that pizza kitchen in, thinking that if there was ever an opportunity to get shut down, and they're saying like you got to have food to be open, because that was the thing they came out with. I don't know if you guys remember, but at one point they were like, restaurants can open, but bars can't. You have to have food to be able to open.
Yep.
And bars were like, what are you talking about? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And so it got us thinking more. And then we had always been kind of thinking that way, coming from like a culinary background too.
Yeah.
But it was just, how do we eliminate those no's?
Yep.
Necessity breeds innovation, right?
I actually wanted to open up I can't say it. Never mind. Sorry. The Nug Hut.
Yeah.
Coming soon.
Oh, is it coming soon? Hopefully. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, and then a funny story. So obviously we were
hold on,
alluding to this at the beginning.
Oh no.
Oh, June. Might have to be a TBC. You're good. Take a second.
Yeah.
When he's standing, he's about the same, as me sitting.
Yeah.
So
There we go.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly it, dude. Yeah.
Look at camera 3.
Camera 3, it's all just June.
Little June.
Heck yeah.
I'll drop her down a little bit.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
So we had to, for our YouTube audience, as you've noticed, June was here at the beginning, and then she was she went for a walk and now she's back. And we've reshuffled our seating arrangement here. But
I mean, that's why we call it real people, real stories, real
that's
Idaho,
true.
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Childcare, man. Childcare's hard.
This is how the sausage is made right here.
So Jake, we were talking about food, your restaurant and decision to do that to get people to take away the nose, right? Which makes a lot of sense. So how'd the breakfast burrito come about?
Dude, we've been thinking about it for like 4 or 5 years. I mentioned it to Casey probably back in like early 2000s, And then all of a sudden we saw this breakfast burrito place pop up in downtown Boise, and we were like, God damn, they stole our idea. But it was fine.
What thing, huh?
Been buddies. Yeah, been buddies with him for a long time, so it's not that big a deal.
You swept it under the rug.
Yeah, swept it under the rug and called him. We talked it out. And so it seemed like it was going really well down there, gangbusters. So I took Casey out for a round of golf and said, Casey, it's fine that you stole our idea, but I'm also going to do it. We're going to do it over at Boise State. It's going to be different than what you're going for, but it's going to be a burrito. It's going to be at breakfast time.
I remember it a little bit differently, but similarly.
What's your version?
Oh, my version is, so we started Oddbox Breakfast Project and did the window kind of to go online walk up breakfast burrito concept. Jake and I did go play golf, and he was asking me a lot of questions about how the breakfast burrito thing was going. And then kind of at the end, he was like, so like, what would you think? Like, would you be upset if like we kind of did something similar?
Fake news.
Fake news.
No. But I think, I've had people ask me about it too, of like, did they, whatever. I'm like, you know what? We're all just out here trying to make a living. You know what I mean? And I think we really cater to the downtown crowd, obviously, and you're catering to the Lost Window is catering to like Boise State students who are, going to and from class and different kind of different audiences, different markets, and different types of burritos realistically. And like I said, I don't think that I don't view it as competition. You know what I mean? It's now maybe, what's really funny is we should have talked more to Gibson about it when we had Gibson on, because Gibson is also a close friend of mine and they own Bacon. And so I'm the one who opened a breakfast concept right around the corner from his breakfast concept. So really, it's all full circle here. But no, it was pretty funny, Jake. We were playing golf, and towards the end, I remember because you dropped me off in my truck and I was like putting my clubs away, and you were kind of like, so we've been thinking about maybe doing something similar. And I was like, yeah, dude, like And
that honest is the full intent for us. We've been, we put the brewery next to the college campus there in the attempts to try and like capture the college student population. And it's been tricky to get them in and to, kind of extract some of the dollars out of that community in that space. But there are literally 3,000 beds within 4 blocks of that original location. And so when, we saw that concept, it's just like, God, I wonder if we can get, like a $9 breakfast burrito that's good, simple, no real changes. We've adjusted a little bit to allow people to make some, alterations for dietary stuff, right? But for the most part, it's like, get online, order this burrito. It's $9. Get it on your way to campus, which I feel like we're, not stepping on, trying not to step on their toes, right? And so, and so that was asking those guys again. I've always been fans of these guys and always been buddies with them. So I was going to make sure at least to not necessarily ask for permission, but give them a heads up.
Give them a heads up. Which, like I said, is it's totally fine. Like I said, we're all in this, the restaurant, the hospitality business. It's a hard business, right? Like, it's a difficult business, and we're all out here trying to make a living and trying to find a way to drive revenue and take away no's and serve our customers and fill gaps. And that's kind of the business that we're in. And so I think even when
teams, man, how do making sure we can pay our teams,
making sure we can pay our people and pay the rent and keep the lights on. And even going back to when you asked the question about like what beers, how do you come up with beers or how do you think about this stuff? It is a imitation business to a degree, right? You see what's working in other places and you try to emulate that in your own, with your own take and your own twist on it. So,
because no offense to Oddbox, but they weren't the first breakfast burrito window.
No. We didn't invent,
country, right?
We didn't invent breakfast burritos. We didn't invent, a to-go window or anything like that. So, I think the only thing that maybe made Jake slightly trepidatious or anything like that is just like the fact that like we do have that like friendship relationship. So it's like, oh, I hope he's not mad about this.
I know.
But we're we by no means were like, oh my God, I can't believe he's stealing our idea. It was
Pull
just
his
like,
beer.
Yeah.
Pull his beer.
Pull it. No, I'm just kidding.
It's like when I get a friend.
They only pulled the beer for 2 months out of most of their stores, but it's back. We made amends. Yeah.
We made amends.
I dropped off a dozen breakfast burritos to
just like you did with Payette, can we make like a beer that's like awkward? What was the one that you guys made?
Awkward Hugs.
Awkward Hugs that you made. They did a collaboration beer with Payette because actually that might be an interesting little thing. Like when you did come back, or like when you did decide to leave Payette and open your own brewery, was there any like how did Mike kind of take that when you had been? Was there a period of time where that was a conflict of interest or like awkward, or was he pretty supportive? I mean, and we can cut this part if that's like a weird story.
You're totally good. No, not at all. No, I mean, like I've always liked to consider myself at least somewhat, like respectable to like friends and peers and stuff like that. So Mike was actually the first person that I had told, right? Like, dude, I think I'm going to go open a brewery. And he was understanding, just recently he kind of mentioned, that he was definitely a little like mad or frustrated about the situation, but he was supportive the whole time, right?
Yeah.
Like, because I think something that I've always believed in, and I hope that most restaurant owners do as well, or business owners as a whole, is like, other people have aspirations for what they want to do in life. And, it probably isn't working for you. Hopefully you do have some folks that really enjoy it and you can build a really strong, solid team that wants to be there for a long time. But, people also need to do what makes them happy and, finds out, like, go find their own way. So, and I think Mike believed that as well, right? It's like, you got to make sure that you do you, and that's what I try and do with anybody on my team is if they're moving on, it's a supportive
100%
notion, not a, frustrated or angry or threatening.
Yeah.
Always supporter of what people doing what's right for them.
Yeah. Find your Lost Grove.
Yeah.
Find that thing that makes you happy.
Yeah.
Plug.
I know. I was gonna ask him about how'd you come up with the name. Look at that, he did it. Little promoter there. I love it.
Trying.
So, I mean, on that, what's next for Lost Grove?
Getting those laws changed.
Yeah, getting those laws changed. Okay, let's go.
We've actually started dipping our toe into the catering business a little bit.
Okay.
And so we've always been in events. That's always been a major part of who we are, and how we are involved in the community is just through events. And we've got a chef that's done an amazing job with our teams and great guy. And so he's actually kind of given us the opportunity to start branching out and actually doing, catered events. So we did 3 or 4 full weddings last year with like liquor, bar, food.
Wow.
And I think we got like 5 or 6 on the books for next year. So
It's huge.
Kind of getting into the catering business is a way to kind of expand and, continue to expand our business until we can get that law changed.
Yeah.
Even then, we'll stick with it. But
Yeah.
at this point it is, just like Casey said, trying ways, figure out ways to innovate and continue to increase and not die, but keep growing,
I love it.
Right, baby June? Just like shaking you or not shaking. I'm not shaking my daughter.
Yeah, I'm not
Look,
shaking her.
on YouTube you can see
He is
it's a rock.
aggressive. It is more of an
It is
aggressive
a rock.
rock than a
Yeah.
shake.
Yeah. She's enjoying it. She's having fun.
Look at this guy. This is a
Smile.
multitasking
Wait,
entrepreneurial
wait.
father in action. We
Smile
love
for her,
that.
baby June. Smile
Yeah.
for her. Can you smile?
No, that's
He kind
okay.
of gets her a little bit in the camera. Look at her. She's a little in the little camera.
There we go. Baby June. Cool. Well, Jake, thanks for sharing your story and joining us on this episode and bringing June along. There's
Baby
a smile
June.
from June. Yay, June. She's like, this is what I wanted this whole time. I just wanted to sit against this pillow. But yeah, thanks for spending some time with us and bringing June along.
No, thanks, guys. I appreciate you having me and listening to another round of crazy stories, Casey. You know, you've been doing it now for
stories.
8 years. So,
Yeah.
And Spencer, great to meet you, man.
Yeah, you too. It's great having
Appreciate
you.
it a bunch.
Yeah.
So,
That's awesome.
Cool.
good luck with the podcast.
Okay. Thank
Thanks,
you.
man.